everybody, and I hope you had a lovely weekend. Welcome to the Garage, the Court of Public Opinion, in session for another week. I'm Jeremy Cordo. Peter Clayton is behind the camera. We were just talking about, on Friday, we were talking reminiscing, romancing, I don't know. Stories about hostesses on aeroplanes. Am I allowed to tell about the kiss that you got?
Yes.
How old were you?
15, I think.
And was she gorgeous?
Well, I fell in love hopelessly.
Oh, yes. Oh, look, the trick is, that is really what aviation should be about. It should be flying fantasies. Oh, dear. I mean, in those days, pretty girls would either be a model or they'd be an air hostess. Glamour personified. But I suppose there are lots of stories about people. Anyway, I just prefer the days of romance and fantasy. Why not? Before we get into the news of the day, a new week, June the 19th. The British royal family, which had very strong German ties since George I, renounces its German names and titles and adopts the name of Windsor. That was this day in 1917. Well, hell, when the First World War was 1914 to 1918, it does smack a little bit of just waiting to see which way the wind was blowing. Anyway, they waited till 1917, 1 year before the war ended, before they sacked the Germans. Robert Peel introduces the Metropolitan Police Act of 1829 into Parliament to establish a uniform police force for London, the city's first modern police force, the Bobbies, named, of course, after Robert Peel, 1829. The Tasmanian Devil. I really don't get this. 1954. 1954. Tasmanian Devil, Warner Brothers cartoon character, created by Robert McKimson and Warren Foster, Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies, first debuts in Devil May Hare. And you know who the hare was? Bugs. But they have a copyright, even to today, on the Tasmanian Devil. I don't see how that's fair. Anyway, I wonder how they came up with the Back in 1954, they wouldn't have known too much about Tasmania. I mean, God, no one knew too much about Tasmania, which is why it was so beautiful. It was really a wonderful, undiscovered, unspoiled treasure. Joseph Banks, the English botanist and naturalist who accompanied James Cook on board the Endeavour, dies at 77. The year was 1820. Let me see. French King Louis XI forms the first postal service. So never before this day, in 1464, was there a postal service, mail delivery. It's a red letter day. Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin end their partnership of 10 years, 16 films, very acrimonious separation. 1956, most separations tend to be, don't they? Boris Johnson, British Conservative politician, US Prime Minister. We'll have something to say about him. 1964, he was born. The first airship in service, 1910. It was called Germany. Must have been one of those Zeppelin things, I suppose. Yeah. A man is beheaded for witchcraft and sorcery in Saudi Arabia in 2012. The Earl of Wessex, Prince Edward, 35, weds Sophie Rhys-Jones, 34, St George's Chapel, Windsor Castle, in 1999. Jean Arthur, American actress. Oh, she was in Shane. Did you ever see Shane, Pete?
Yes.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Loved Shane. She was also in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Dies at 90 in 1991. The Australian government and companies suffer a month-long state-based cyber attack, according to Scott Morrison, in 2020. And I don't know, I have a note here as to who was responsible for that. Extraordinary. Oh, aspiring actress. Oh, I love her. Do you know who Norma Jean Mortensen is?
No.
You don't?
Not Marilyn Monroe.
Yes.
Norma Jean.
Norma Jean.
I didn't know
Yeah, I've got pictures of Norma Jean everywhere. Oh, I love her. Oh, what an air hostess she would have been. Oh, goodness me. 1942, aspiring American actress Norma Jean Mortensen, later known as Marilyn Monroe, 16 years old, weds first husband, American merchant marine James Doherty, 21. They divorced in 1946, but married this day in 1942. How much time have I got, Pete?
Well, none really.
No, okay. Carol Ray dies at 99 years of age. British Australian actress, number 96, blankety blanks. 2022 she died. Wallace Simpson, the American divorcee, wife of British King Edward VIII, abdicates his throne to marry. Anyway, she was born in 1896 and died in 1986. Louis Jourdain, the French actor. Gigi, I think he was in some James Bond movies as well. He died in 2015, but he was born in 1921. The first full genetic study of cats, published in Nature, Ecology and Evolution, reveals cats were domesticated 9,000 years ago and descended from one species, the African wildcat. 2017. And 5 of the Magnificent 11, oh yes, that was 1944. 5 of the Magnificent 11 photos taken by Robert Capa during the D-Day landings at Omaha Beach, Normandy, first published in Life magazine. Wow. Some of those pictures are, well, they're not only great pictures, they're of huge historical importance, and we must never forget. We must never forget. Speaking of things that are unforgettable, have you been to Lake Eyre, Pete?
A long time ago.
Well, I've seen some pictures. Lake Eyre in Central Australia. The amazing coming to life. Now, God knows how the pelicans, thousands and thousands of miles away, and hundreds, if not thousands of pelicans, how did they know to start flying towards the centre of Australia? How did they know they were going to find water, a lake? Counterintuitive. You leave the coast, you leave the water, and you fly towards the desert? I know they've been doing it for centuries, but is it instinct or smell or something? But it's still a wonder to me. And it's not just the pelicans, it's the whole inland of Australia and the outback. The Diamantina, all those rivers that feed life into the remote parts of Central Australia. In flood, a few months back, water, record amounts of water, flowing down, bringing life, birds, wildlife, flowers, colour. Lots of photographers. I'm sure you've been there, Pete. I've seen pictures that you've done of pelicans. And
I've got plenty of pelican photos, but not...
Lake Eyre is just amazing. And there should be lots of photographers and lots of tourists. It's a remarkable sight. And this year, it's a 1 in 25, 30 year spectacular. And yes, I know the floods were, well, inconvenient, to say the least. Very expensive, destructive, annoying. But with that water comes life. And the cycle goes on. I don't like, as you may know, the idea that we've got 3 national flags in Australia. I sort of look at it and I think of it as a symbol of a divided nation. We should be inclusive, shouldn't we? Isn't that the catchword of the age in which we live? Let's include everyone. Huh? Why not? Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islanders, migrants from all over the world, all over one flag, under one flag. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what you call inclusive. What we have at the moment is sort of strange tokenism, racism, and paternalism too, really. The world sees our official representatives not united, standing in front of one flag, but 3 unexplained flags. I wonder if they ever ask. They probably wouldn't be rude enough. But I am. If we went into battle today, what flag would we be carrying? And the Liberals are no better. Aboriginals are 3% of the population, responsible for 0.4% of Australia's GDP. That's the wealth of the country. Torres Strait Islanders, much less. What exactly do these flags symbolise? What is the point? We should be striving to be inclusive. Tell me where I'm wrong here. All people under one flag, one nation. I can tell you that what we've been doing up until now hasn't worked. And if you don't believe me, you come with me for a little walk down North Terrace any afternoon after about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'll show you where the present policies have taken us and the Aboriginal people of Australia. I think it's time we rethought some of these failed ideas and policies. It's all in the bag of woke, I think. All has something to do with woke. The brand new and very expensive, in fact, most expensive hospital in the world is going to be revamped. Have you heard this? Nice to see the government at last agrees that it doesn't work, or to a degree it doesn't work, falls short of its job description, the job for which it was built. Can you believe a brand new hospital has been exposed as failing to do its job? I wonder, the designers, the architects, or the people behind the whole thing? I don't understand. Has anybody been spoken to about this? The emergency section in particular, the Royal Adelaide Hospital, is going to be revamped. The emergency section, oh my God. Then on top of that, we have the state government revealing that it wants to spend, on top of the already allocated money to revamp the swimming centre in North Adelaide, in the parklands in North Adelaide, they want to spend another $57 million. We had the Premier and his family in the pool the other day. Must be heated. She wouldn't want to jump in cold water today, I wouldn't think, Mr. Premier. Now, we've got people who can't pay their electricity bill. We've got a lot of people in a lot of trouble. And we've got this great big deficit. Gee whiz. This is about, what, cake and circuses? We should not build a North Adelaide swimming centre. There's a fantastic centre at Marion, world class in fact, cost millions. And we can build a new one in North Adelaide when and if we have the money to do it. Huh? Wouldn't that be an idea? Politicians love coming out with these happy, good news announcements. That's the thing. I somehow prefer good management. Senator Katie Gallagher came out with a beauty last week. The Coalition let down Brittany Higgins by failing to provide her with a duty of care. A duty of care. Senator, are you suggesting that a 22-year-old woman who is supposed to be sophisticated enough, well-educated enough to advise a minister of the Crown, is not capable of making her own decisions? Her problem was, of course, failing to take responsibility for those decisions. Do you really think that the Liberals should have been there in the minister's office at 2 o'clock in the morning to see to it that she didn't get into any trouble? Should they have been in the bar beforehand, making sure that she didn't drink too much? What in God's name are you saying? With respect, Minister, you should be saying what I said. But then, of course, if you did that, you might get the sack. And that's not to say you won't get the sack anyway. Oh dear, we live in strange times, don't we? Staying in Canberra for a second, I was given a tip-off that Pauline Hanson was going to be about, well, I was going to say, was going to be the first politician to ask the federal parliament, where does the money that is given to, in abundance, given to Aboriginal people actually go? Now, if this is true, I applaud Senator Pauline Hanson. Now, if you've been watching this segment on Facebook or listening to it as a podcast, you would know I've been doing it for years. And on my radio programs in various places, many times I've said that Aboriginal people don't need a voice. They need a forensic accountant. A forensic accountant would be the person to talk to about where is the money that we are not getting. Each person should be getting between $1,200 and $1,300 a week for every man, woman and Aboriginal child, which of course they never do, because the Aboriginal industry soaks up all that money. But the thing that the senators come up with, which is new and most encouraging, is all of these participants in the Aboriginal industry, and there are hundreds and hundreds of them, are supposed to give an accounting as to where the money goes. That accounting should go to Parliament. And you know the funny thing? The senator apparently has discovered that they never have. No accounting whatsoever. Well, in a way, it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me one bit. Aboriginal people should be outraged at this black bureaucracy. The great mystery, of course, is why they're not. Why are they, and for that matter, why are we bamboozled? 3% of the population, which has an incredible advantage over the white brothers and sisters, and they don't know it. They don't know that because they don't get the advantage. I think it is time we stood up and made sure that the provisions that have been made for Aboriginal people are in fact delivered to Aboriginal people. And do tell me if I'm wrong on that. Have I got time for one more, Pete?
Yeah, why not?
How's the battery going?
Yeah, okay.
I heard something interesting. It was a discussion on the thing we've talked about, I think it was probably about last Wednesday, about aged care. The journalist asked a good question. This was of a nursing sister. Why aren't you doing any? And he listed the areas where healthcare workers were not putting in any effort, giving any help. to aged people. And blow me down, if this representative of the aged care nursing industry didn't say, well, we can't do that because there's not a Medicare number for it. We only do things for which we get reimbursed from Medicare. Really? Oh God, I fell back in my chair when I heard that. If it is not a listed item with a Medicare number, then we do not provide the service or the attention or the care. Gough Whitlam, you'd be proud, wouldn't you? Socialised medicine in full flight. Have we really reached a point in this wonderful, prosperous country where somebody will not do a particular procedure or apply particular assistance unless there's a Medicare number, which of course means they get paid? Is that right? Have medical people resorted to that kind of mercenary nitpicking? If somebody needs something and you're a nurse or you're a doctor or a carer, are you telling me that you wouldn't go and see to that problem before checking the Medicare list to make sure you were going to get paid for it? God, I can't believe that. I can't. Please tell me it's not true. I don't know. These people should not be working in the area of health. I'm really sorry. I put them under the heading of money-grubbing mercenary people. I hope what I saw was not indicative of the vast majority of people who work in aged care. But if it's a problem, we need to clear that out. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for viewing the Court of Public Opinion and all your input and your comments. I appreciate it. Peter Clayton and I, Jeremy Cordeaux, will be back tomorrow. Believe in yourself, and thank you for viewing. Bye for now.